Okay, I got the DMR hotspot here today in the mail, and it was really interesting because all that I got was basically the box. And I literally all I got was the little box plus the antenna. No user manuals, no charger, no nothing. So this is basically is a very genius tool actually. I like it. It does contain a Raspberry Pi 0W, like the tiny one. There is a board on top of that with an OLED display plus an antenna. The antenna is for UHF, so I have it set to like 436 something, with all of the settings that is needed. So what I went in the drawer here and I got an old iPhone charger that I had. Then I also had this contact, like a micro USB, I believe it's called. And then you just plug it in. Here it doesn't matter quite where you put it, as long as you just put it in somewhere. It does work. I have been sitting here with a little bit bare and a lot of frustration and tinkering to get this stuff to work. I got some tip from another radio amateur in Narvik. His name is Ulf, and he helped me a little bit about some screenshot of his setup, including another thing and two that I didn't knew when it comes to this. So in reality, it's actually quite easy to install this. All right, so let's start up and see how this is. So for now, I will just have it on my floor until I found a permanent place for it. And, this is how it is starting out. So basically, it's a tiny, small computer. In that the Raspberry Pi is technically a computer, and it works really well. As far as I understand, what you also can do, if the Raspberry Pi in here, the 0W, doesn't work anymore, you have to replace it. You can put the board that is on top of the Raspberry Pi and place it on the Raspberry Pi GPIO headers and install the software, and it should technically work. So what I have done is to connect this one to the wireless network that I have in my house, but eventually I will get a micro USB to Ethernet adapter to have it like wired. So when I'm traveling between my dad and here, I can just plug and pray, and it will work. But I also learned that you can add different wireless networks onto the Raspberry Pi Star operating system, and it will work very well.
Okay, let's go back to the well familiar computer recording. Hi. It's actually been a full day since I made the previous clips that you saw in this recording, where I show the DMR hotspot. I've been configuring it, and it's actually working pretty good. I've been struggling a little bit for a couple of hours to get everything to work. I contacted a fellow amateur radio in Narvik and asked him about some suggestions that I was struggling with to fail to understand why they were there in the first place. And he mentioned that I needed a Brandmeister account, and also because of a security password has to be installed in the configuration. So now I actually understand how you do stuff in there, which is really cool. So I don't want other people to struggle with the stuff that I've been struggling with. So I'm actually gonna make a small video on the changes that I did. So after I plugged in, as you saw in the previous clip here, after I plugged in the power cord and I just placed it on the floor, it's actually, if you can actually see the light down there in the corner, that's where the hotspot is placed for now. And so far, the cat has been he's not been detecting that one yet. What is happening is that when you are starting it up, you plug in the cord with a micro USB. You can use a regular phone charger for that, a small one. Um, you just wait a couple of minutes until the computer, because technically the hotspot uh, is a computer, it does contain a Raspberry Pi Zero W in there. So just wait a minute or two to start up. And then you take a laptop, and I am saying this, do not use a phone for this, and do not use a tablet, but use a laptop with a browser on it to connect to a wireless signal called Pi Star. This is what's important. So when you see a Wi-Fi signal in your home with your laptop or computer, then connect to it and you use the password Raspberry. Okay, so when you have done that, and usually I'm just usually doing Google Chrome, and what I discovered that it wouldn't work. So what you do, and what I did, I downloaded Firefox on my computer because I'm running Linux and it actually works pretty okay for me. And then you are into the address bar on top. You type in pi-star.local. So that's a local address because the Pi Star, the hotspot, I call it the Pi Star from now on. The Pi Star does contain a internal web server, so it understands uh, this address. And for me, because I configured everything, I have connected the device to my network, so I know the hotspot's Wi-Fi address. This is a random address. I am testing it on a very open network now, but and I will turn it over to a closed network of security reason. So just imagine that this address is here. So that's probably a good way of doing that. So pistar.local. And what you will see is this web page called Pistar Digital Voice Dashboard, and that's it. When you have configured everything, your call sign will end up in there. I haven't figured out a good, efficient way to upgrade the system yet, but I will do it. So when you are on pi-star.local address and you're receiving this page, it will somewhat look like this. I have some stuff enabled because I finished everything, and I also been doing some testing, and I got 3 DMR contact yesterday, and I'm actually quite happy with that. So go to configuration. This one is where you do everything in, like the basic stuff. Admin stuff is more like for admin people. There's an expert mode in there, which I've been using to update the operating system, but not the Pi-Star system. And what I did was to make some configuration. So as you will see under the on each box, I'm calling it a box, there's an apply change button there. And you will see this in on every single box, under every single box. So basically what you do is that when you have made some configuration to like control software, you hit apply changes and then you wait. Do not make multiple changes in many boxes and then hit apply changes on the bottom there. Just don't do it. Um, so I changed and I put in mmdvm host, enable that one, and simplex node because I only have one antenna. And I hit apply changes. The next changes that I did was to enable DMR mode, and I changed OLED type 6 and to the first screen and to the first layout. And then I hit apply changes. The next thing I did, and this is probably the window where you are going to do the stuff that is very specific to your hotspot. Um, and the host name, you don't have to make any changes to it, but I just leave it as Pi Star because I am running a DHCP server in here, so I am a tech guy. So if I'm searching or pinging any device on my network called Pi-star, I will use the host name of the device. That's the name of the device in your network. It doesn't affect any performance or anything like that. Okay, so the next thing that I did a lot of things here, and I'll go through all of them. The node call sign, which is important, and everyone is saying that use your own call sign in there, and that's what I did. So this is what's very important that you put in. That's the DMR ID. So your ID you put in that box. I have my DMR ID at radio.net, and I'll show you where you find it. So this is my webpage at dmr.net, and this is under the call sign and dashboard. You will find your radio IDs, and I have only one. This one is actually important. We come back to this one later. So when you configure it the first time, this box at Bradmeister devices is not detected the first time, but you just have to wait a little bit. Alright, so DMR ID, and you place it in this field. And we in Norway we are trying to go over to a standardized system. There is one guy in Norway that is doing an amazing job trying to standardize DMR system. The code plug for the Anytone radio in here. So a lot of people are following his setup, and which is I like standardization. It makes everything easier, particularly when it comes to diagnostic. So I put in the frequency 433.650 megahertz. I am a license holder, so I can broadcast a signal. So this is 70 meters. Longitude, latitude, I don't care about it because I don't want everyone to know, but people can have a general idea of where I am, but not completely. I live in Norway, and under URL I put in the QRZ link that I have so people can just find me. And I place this one in manual. The radio modem type, you might not have to do it, but in my case, I verify that it is STM32DVM stroke MMDVM underscore HS Raspberry Pi hat GPIO. That's what I did. And I put this, I put the node type in private because I think it is a rule for that in Norway. Because when you having it a public, that's a definition of a repeater in Norway. And then you have to apply to the national communication authorities and the county and the local authorities and all that kind of stuff. So for your own sake in here in Norway, just put this one to private. Public is a lot of paperwork. And the APRs node is set to Europe, APRs2.net, and system time zone is set to Oslo, GMT +1 basically, and the dashboard language is set to English. I'm running default setup, so it's UK. I prefer to have all of the system in English. It makes things a lot easier when you have to when you're going to need some help from other people. So when you have set all of these configuration, just hit apply changes. That's important. Don't mess with any changes here and then hit apply here, because it won't work for this settings up here. Hit apply changes and have that one to go. The next one was a little bit confusing to me, and I actually needed some help with this to understand. This is what makes things a little bit genius, I think. So, the DMR master was, I had to set this one to Brandmeister 2421 Norway. If you like living in like Norway, in Australia, like Russia, uh, United Kingdom, United States, and you just follow your setup. But for Norway, it is BM underscore 2421 underscore Norway. And this is what makes what confused me a lot is the hotspot security. So as far as I understood, I had to register account at Brandmeister. So this is the Brandmeister webpage. I'm not going to show all of the settings in here, but some of it. Then I went to self-care, and then I logged in. Okay. Alright, so let's see Brandmeister self-care. And then I entered a password in here and hit save password. Hotspot security, I entered a password and I saved the password. Then I took that password and I put it on the hotspot security. And that made the trick basically to work. Alright, so the next thing I configured was the DMR ESS ID, which is the my DMR ID, and then 01. So 01 identifies this hotspot here as 01. And then I hit applied. Okay, so the next thing you should probably do is like do nothing in here. But the thing you should do first before you do anything else is to configure the wireless network. So right now I am testing it on my own network, so then I will move the device over to a more secure network for just leave and forget network that I have. It's an IoT network that is somewhat secure. And then I went to configure Wi-Fi. Then I scanned for the network, and now it will use like 10 seconds to scan the network that I have around. Then I chose the network and I said to, alright, so select network, and then I selected it, the network, put in the password, and I hit save and connect. Now the thing is that what you can do, alright, so let me just refresh this one again. So what you can do is to add different networks. So I'm running a phone, so when I'm traveling around, I'll probably add the phone's wireless network in here. So I just hit add, then I type in the phone's SSID and the password and hit save and connect. I can add a multiple network. So I can add, when I'm traveling home to my dad, I will probably add his network into the Pi-Star, and then I use his wireless name and the password, and then I hit save and connect. So depending on where the Pi-Star box is, it will automatically connect to pre-configured wireless network configured into the Pi-Star system. I know it's a little bit mouthful, but that's just how it works. And okay, so then you hit save and connect. It will say wireless network configured, like a white text there for a couple of seconds, then disappear. But the wireless network might not work. You might actually have to reboot the device, and then it will work. So what I did in order to have everything working, and this is the stuff that I like to do. I like to figure stuff out. The first thing I did after logging into the address pystar.local was to configure the wireless settings first, so that would work. And then I reboot the device, and then I went on this computer, the stationary computer, where I like to work on, and then I configured the rest of the stuff because I can access this Pystar system from the wireless network. And what I also plan to do, because I'm not a particularly big fan of wireless signals, even though I have a wireless signals hobby, is to have it on wireless network. So I probably will purchase a micro USB device to Ethernet adapter and just run it from regular network. I think that will be easier for me in the long term when I'm moving around. So yeah, that's what I did on this system. So I run a couple of tests today. I talked to two guys in Narvik. I know those guys. They've been helping me through some questions, and for one of the guy, and a lot of questions for the other guys. Poor dude, he's been answering a lot of questions for me here. Um, but he is a really great guy. He knows a lot of stuff, probably everything. Um, so I tested the DM. They called me up here on the DMR call yesterday, and it was really cool actually talking to people. And I also talked to a guy in Modem, and that was by all like stuff. I lived in Modem for many years, so that was a coincidence. It was an odd coincidence actually. A lot of bad memories from that place. But yeah, that was kind of cool, but not cool. So that's how I did. So the next thing I will do is try to figure out how to run how to update an outdated system of Pystar, and how to upgrade that and how that is going to work. So the next thing you should do before I'm logging off this frequency is to uh, go to after you've been at the configuration page, go to backup and restore, and hit the download button. So what it will do is to so when you have configured everything to work, you go in, you download the configuration, and you store that configuration on a different medium. For me, I'm using Google Drive. That's where I'm storing my backups, and it does work. And the backup is outside of the building. So when you are, and this is the next tip and the last tip, is to do something called a graceful shutdown. So what you should do when you're taking the modem away is to never just pull on the power cord, just take it with you, because eventually the memory card that is in the Raspberry Pi in the Pi-Star system, it will be corrupt and it don't work. So go to power and then hit that button once. I'm not going to do it because that will mess up my system. But it allows the system to make a graceful shutdown without any possibility of damaging the system. So that you should do. There are some other stuff, like admin stuff. If you don't know a lot of stuff, you should probably not mess around there. Um, but I can just hit admin, and there is a system like an expert configuration you can do. And oh, I am apparently at admin. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I checked in on this one today, and everything is in the green. the hotspot is listening from internet, and it will also listening on the frequencies that I placed in there. So yeah, it's working actually really good, and I love the system so far. I'm definitely a DMR guy, believe it or not. But I figure out you have to do a lot of stuff from the very beginning that you are getting the radio until everything is online. You have to do a lot of configuration to get this to work. But this is DMR. But yeah, I hope you like this video. And for that, and Lima Bravo 6 Quebec Juliet is signing off. Hope you like this video. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you liked or don't like the video. And with that, this frequency is available. Bye bye.